Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Star Demon. Welcome to episode 2 of Blue Beat Radio. Today we're going to be talking about time and attitude, but as always, we're going to follow the program structure, and we'll begin with introductions. Gentlemen, if you please.
Hello, everyone.
Dreiko, you can go first.
Alright. Hello, everyone. You may remember me from the previous episode. I am Dreiko. I main Bang. I currently live in San Diego. Nice to see you again.
Mash.
Alright, my name is John. I go by MashThat5A. In Extend, I main Ragna, but I'm moving on to Tau. This is my first time, and thank you for having me.
KayEff?
Alright, my name is KayEff. You can call me by KayEff. I am the current moderator of the Ragna forums, and not officially the translator of Dustloop. Please follow me so I can increase my Twitter PSR. Thank you.
And I am Star Demon. I main Lychee, and of course I'm a player and hopefully a content provider. So, before we begin, we have kind of a few bits of news to get out of the way. Civil War, the major in Virginia is this weekend. I don't know why I mention it, because I don't think there's any actual main event for BlazBlue, but I do think there's side tournaments. Do you guys know if there's side tournaments or not? Or?
I do not know.
From what I know of the scene in Virginia, my guess is if there is enough interest, there will be a side tournament, but I think most of the anime players there are going to be playing Persona.
Okay. Well, shoutouts to them, and I hope they can play BlazBlue and give it a little more attention anyways. Second bit of news, BlazBlue has 2 new characters. That was that just hit this week. Kagura and Terumi. I'm very excited about that. Secretly, I'm a little bit scared personally because that means they're going to be adding 2 characters later on, which ups the chance of Lychee being nerfed. Unfortunately, I think she's gonna. I'm just scared. What do you guys think?
I think Lychee. I'm excited to try the new characters because more characters, more variety, it's always good. As for Lychee being nerfed, maybe slightly, but will still be good.
All right. Anything else, or?
Go ahead, Patrick.
For me, I actually don't care as long as they don't touch Ragna or they make Ragna better.
I think they can only make Ragna better. Given
they're gonna make 2-2C fly even further, so you can't combo it from mid screen.
They're gonna be dumb.
I honestly don't think that there will be a patch for CP. If anything, it'll be very slight tuning for maybe things like Hakumen's Overdrive meter game. Yeah. I think Hakumen is the only thing that really needs to be toned down. Other than that, I think it's fine. And it's very hard for me to... I mean, it's not like there are 5 characters yet. We will see what happens when time goes on.
Right.
If you put a gun to my head, I would say they would not touch the game. They will just have the 2 characters, and that would be it, yeah.
Yeah,
Also, it's very hard for me to get excited about the new characters because they've released so little about their playstyles.
I think Kagura will be charge-based. So
They've released but the problem is like they said stuff like he has charges and anti-air, but a lot of people have begun to think that means he's going to be Guile. But the problem is that you can air block and double jump.
Yeah, the Guile stuff is just ignorant and too soon to be decided upon. I think Kagura will have the range advantage over a lot of characters.
We'll see what happens.
The characters have just been released. Like, I can't tell you what to expect.
Yeah. If we get in way too, it really is too early to tell, but it is pretty exciting. I mean, I only mentioned my thing because mostly out of jest, but yeah.
My only opinion is that Kagura looks like he got all of his lower ribs removed, and that's about all I can say.
Okay, and the last bit of news is, along with this BlazBlue announcement, we got an announcement about details about X-Blaze, a BlazBlue-related visual novel. So if you guys want info on that and some details, there's a Dustloop thread. Check that out because it actually has a lot of details in it. Okay, so tonight we are talking about time and attitude, based off our roadmap that we started discussing last time with Dreiko and Acid Bro. We're going to begin that, and the next 3 episodes are kind of going to be based around that roadmap framework. So today we're going to try to get around time and attitude, And 2 weeks from now, on our next episode, we're going to try to do fundamentals. Yummy, yummy. So, time. We don't really have a really great concept of time anymore. Things take time. We don't even know. So, I think it's really important to talk about this because a lot of players, myself being probably one of them, probably don't really understand how much time things take or how time actually really works. So my first question to you guys in this topic is, what kind of time should players, both existing and ones that are developing and who are newer, what they should be thinking of when they think of time? I think I'll go one at a time. Draco, you can start.
All right, thank you. I think if you're a pure beginner player, it will take at least a month to familiarize yourself with all the various systems to a degree where you can actually remember to utilize them during the battle. That first month will be the harshest period of your time with the game, but as long as you persevere and go through that month, I think you will find everything will be much easier from then on. If you're already somewhat accustomed to all the systems and you're an intermediate player, that's where the time versus reward curve begins to slow down. So you will have to put more and more time for fewer and fewer rewards. But as long as you keep doing that, as long as you keep putting time, you will inadvertently end up being the better player in the end of it. There's never an end post. You will always have more time to put, and you can always become better. And that's what you need to think. There's never enough. There's always more. Just keep trying, put the time in, put the love in, and have fun.
Okay. Nash that 5A?
So, as most of us are in this situation, a lot of us are college students, which means we have to balance our time between school, which is more important, our personal lives, and at the very end, playing video games. And if you're like me, that amount of time isn't a lot. So it's really about what's the most profit you can get for where you put this time towards. If you're a beginner player, I would argue that most of your time should be spent playing matches. You should spend you should be able to do two things. You should be able to confirm a ground combo into a ground ender. It shouldn't be for maximum damage. You should just be able to end a combo with something, and an air combo into an ender. And then you should be spending most of your time playing matches, because that will give you the most reward in learning how your character plays, how the mechanics work, and what it's like fighting other people. If you have more time, once you begin playing more, you'll be able to understand that there are situations that occur very commonly. For example, I hit with 6B as Ragna. My opponent's crouching. Well, if you just put a little bit of time in, you would end a combo with like Hell's Fang. But if you spent a little more time, you would learn that, oh, I realize that he's crouching, and now I can combo into 6C and do more damage. But that's situation awareness, and that should come with I spent the time understanding the basics, and now I see these common situations, and what can I do from these common situations to make things easier for me in the long run? And then once you get past that point, you've identified a lot of situations, then it's time to play different characters and understand matchups. And that's where, if you're an intermediate or expert player, you're going to be spending a lot of time, and unfortunately there aren't really many ways to speed that up.
So just to kind of try to summarize what you said, basically for players like that are in college and they have to really manage their time, you think that they should be do more playing and then try to get more basic understanding of the game and then play a lot, or?
I think they should have they should be able to do very basic things. As long as they can do something like hit confirm into a combo ender, and then they should just be spending time playing matches, because I think that you'll learn more. You'll be learning more with that time than you would be if you were sitting in training mode trying to learn combos.
Okay, so basically hit confirming instead of combo knowledge and like real technical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything you wanted to add that before I go to KayEff on that?
I don't think so. After a certain point, it gets to understanding where you need to develop as a player, and that's for a per-person thing, and we can spend forever talking about that.
Okay, KF, what do you think?
Um, just to like clarify, the question was like how people should manage their time, right?
The question was basically what kind of spaces of time people should be thinking of. So Draco had a good one where we kind of laid out the general amount of time you spend learning the system. Master F5A pretty much described how you should generally spend your time. I would have liked a time frame on that, but that's okay.
It's kind of hard because it's for a per-person thing, because some people pick up the basics faster than others. So
Yeah,
it's
like
more.
I was about to like go into that because like I was about to mention like how much time you spend or like what what section you should tackle next really depends on like what kind of a fighting game player you are. Like you could spend roughly a month on the basics and like get it down really quickly, or you could spend about like I don't know half a year getting on the basics and still not get it. And like sure the experience level or like how well you understand fighting game mechanics in general can help, but like it's still gonna be on like a personal basis. If if you want my personal advice, like first you should spend the time like figuring out like what combos to do. Well, not what combos to do, like practicing combos pretty much. Like get a feel for the system and how it's different from like other fighting games, and like what moves are going to be good in like the actual match playing. And then after that will be like just basically playing against people. Like you should spend most of your time playing against people because that's where you're going to learn most of your like that's where you're going to learn mostly everything pretty much. Like the basics are going to cover. It's like with a college class, like an intro college class. Like the intro only teaches you the basics, but it's not going to be enough to put you in reality. Like no one's going to hire you if you're only learn the basics. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you should spend most of your time playing matches and learning off of those matches. I guess.
Okay. We seem to be kind of stuck. I mean, it's hard. It's very hard to say to give someone a really hard time frame. So my two kind of leading question, my two questions that led into were basically how long should they practice and how long should they play. But seems like I'm getting kind of differing opinions on this. I mean, some people think you should play more and kind of Naruto it, which is pretty much what I did, and some people say you should really like stick to practice, get down fundamentals, get down these things, and really procedurally develop yourself. So where's the kind of how can we kind of reconcile these two views? And
I think you can do both at the same time as long as you go into the game fighting real opponents while having the mentality of trying to attempt to learn the system, of trying to learn how to utilize a specific aspect of the system. And as long as you keep doing that and adding more into the mix, one on top of the other, eventually, by the end of that month I mentioned, everything eventually will be explained and will be understood. The thing that newer players do wrong is they try to use everything all together without having a proper understanding of what goes where. They should start with the first simple thing, like ending combos, like 5A mentioned. That's one thing. Once they learn that, they should add rapid stance, bursts, all those things into the mix. And eventually, as they play more matches and as they try to push themselves and learn how to utilize properly all the new systems, eventually after the month, I believe they will have the basic understanding down in a relatively good level.
how about what do you Mash KayEff? What do you think?
In terms of like how you practice.
No, what I asked was pretty much like, is there a kind of way to kind of reconcile whether or not you should practice or play more? Should you procedurally learn by setting up situations and just kind of stick to practice and setting things up, or should you kind of just go in and try to do it?
Well, I'm going to say right off the bat, like, playing matches is going to be tons easier, or it's going to be a lot more productive than just practicing, because, well, you're playing against actual people. You're going to learn how actual people are going to play. I actually feel like I'm not answering your question, but practicing, like, or grinding in training mode only accomplishes so much when you know what you're doing. I mean, unless you know what you're doing. But, like, you only know what you're doing if you actually have the experience to actually figure out how the game works. So, like, I find that playing against actual people is a lot more productive.
Yeah, you can copy what other people do, and you can understand systems through seeing other people use them properly. And in that aspect, it's good to play against other people. Yeah.
I would actually think that the only reason you should be using training mode is if you're going in there with a definite purpose of why you're going into training mode. For example, when I first started playing, way back, like 2 years ago, I decided that I would go into training mode and learn how to do BC's Hellsfang, and I decided that I would stay in training mode until I learned how to do it 20 times in a row. I know that's really sad, looking back, but
that sounds average.
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
That sounds very normal.
And so once that happened, I said, okay, well, this is really unsafe. Once I learned that, I was like, okay, I can do a combo. Time to go on net play, and then I did it on block, and I died. So then I said, okay, well, doing this when they're blocking isn't bad. So I have to be able to identify when I'm hitting them, when I'm not hitting them. So I went in training mode, decided I would try to do that, set the dummy on random block, and then keep going until I was able to identify correctly. I think I went for 50 times in a row. And that kind of interplay, playing matches and then going into training mode, understanding why you're going into training mode to learn something about the game, is, I think, the best way to resolve those two camps.
Yeah, having that goal in mind, that's very useful indeed.
Yeah. Actually, before I say anything, KayEff, did you have anything for that, or?
Like, I think John made a really good point on like when you actually like learn something in training mode, and then you actually use it in actual matches, and then it actually turns out being a bad option. Like, playing actual matches is really good for noticing like what kinds of mistakes that you've learned. Like, not on purpose, of course, but like it's really good for noticing what you do wrong and then going back to training mode to be able to fix it. Like, going between actual matches and then training mode, and then going back into the ring again to do another match and see how much better you do is, like, probably one of the best ways that you can improve yourself. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
One thing John said that I really liked was you should go into practice mode with a definite purpose. I think this is probably the best way to do it because for a very long time, I just practice mode just because, and I just did stuff, and I not only did I really focus on learning things that were new, I wasn't really reinforcing anything that I already knew or that I was trying to master. So I think if you go into training mode, definitely want to do it. And so before... And as a side note, we don't really truly bury anything on this show, so this is not, we cover this topic, it's conclusive, we move on forever. We can come back to things in future episodes, so we can always return to things later on. So we don't have to. It's not etched in stone. This is a discussion show. So before I move on, let's try to at least make something decisive between practicing and playing. As far as our time is concerned, what would you say? What would you say to get a player, any of our listeners, to walk away and do something with their time? Like, say, like what you should do with between practicing and playing. here's how, like, give them either a number or a definite, like, do this or do that.
I would say 20% practice, 80% play, and that's pushing it on the practice.
Okay.
I would say that playing, unless you're going to a tournament, playing is practice. But I guess if we're just defining practice as training mode, then I would say there are no strict numbers. I think you should play until you feel like you need to practice something.
Okay. So definitely a lot of different ways to think about this topic. So I think what our listeners should try to take away with this is a lot of this we can't just like tell you and then give you a number and you can walk away from it. This is something you kind of have to observe yourself. So be reflective
It's something you should
when
think
you play.
about, I would say. If you're aware that if you treat everything as a learning experience, which if you go in, I mean, yes, you go into play to have fun, but if you also go into every match thinking that, okay, this isn't really serious, it's on NetPlay or something, NetPlay PSR is not the end of the world, I can learn something from every match I play, then I think it's much easier to find your own answers than just randomly going on saying, I'm going to play some games.
That comes down to attitude. We are getting to
Yeah.
that very slowly. So everyone's spending X/Y amount of time on these things. So as far as time is concerned, what should be the midterm exams for people's spent time? What do you guys think about that? Go ahead and have at it. This doesn't need to be in order.
Ooh, midterm exam.
Well, how else would you describe it? I mean, the test, the measuring stick.
Fight Star Demon on PSN.
If you can, well, yeah, you have to fight Star Demon on PSN. No, what do you think? How should players really kind of do a check to see that they're spending their time correctly?
Mind if I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be like this entirely the same for everyone, but like here's my take on like how you should test how good you are. Like, not everyone's gonna have someone to play against, but like if you play against other people in either in net play or in real life, then maybe you'll come across a person who like you can't beat for some reason. Like he's just, no matter what you do, like everything the opponent does is going to be better than you, or just does it better. So like a good test would be like to train yourself until you're able to beat that certain person. Then once you're able to beat that certain person, then like see if you can like beat someone higher than that, or like try to find other people and like find another person that you can't beat, and then train some more until you be able to beat that person. It's like keep building that I guess that like tree, and where you just keep beating opponents higher and higher than you. I guess it's not really like a single test; it's more like multiple tests. But like that's probably how I would treat these midterm exams.
I think I have a way of implementing what KayEff is suggesting right now. You play that better than you person a lot, and then you go back and you play somebody you used to play before you fought that better than you person, and you see the difference in yourself, in how much better you do against the previous opponent who you already knew in relation how well you fought. So as long as you can compare the before and the after, and you're satisfied with the result, that would be a good midterm, I think.
Yeah, because you don't know if you're going to end up fighting like King Piccolo or Kid Buu when you're looking for your person.
Exactly. And
So-
after you fight Kid Buu, and then go fight Piccolo,
Krillin. If you fight Krillin after you fight
Yes.
Kid Buu,
it's like removing the turtle's shell, and you try and jump, and you end up 1,500 feet up in the air because you're not used to the low gravity anymore.
DBZ. So okay. Basically, what we're kind of saying here is, continue fighting these better players, continue to challenge yourself, and then kind of go back and then see how you do in situations that are not trying to push your own limits. Is that what I'm getting?
in
I would say
situations that
go
you
back.
have encountered in the past and that you had a certain experience with. Now go back to those situations again and re-examine how you do compared to how you used to do, and the difference. I think it's going to be startling, and it's going to leave you pleased with yourself.
I agree.
Okay, so the second part of this is how do you come to that decision point where you have to be like, okay, I have to this isn't working. I have to go back and change how I'm using my time. I mean, this sounds pretty open-ended, but do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I think if you
Basically-
actually...
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think if you feel that you're wasting your time, that's the only way to really know that you are. If you feel that you're not producing something of value and you need to adjust, then you should do so. If you think that what you're doing is actually productive, even if you still lose, if you lose a little bit less, that can have value, that can have learning experience in it. So it's all depending on how you personally feel about your efforts and your time and whether it's being used well or not.
I was actually about to say that almost exact same thing. Like, really depends on like how much you lose, or maybe not just how much you lose. Like, whether or not the results really satisfy you. Like, for example, suppose if you're like playing against an opponent and then you end up winning just by a hair margin, but then the next match the opponent wins, and then in the next match, then you like win by a small margin. Like maybe you want to win convincingly rather than just like, oh, by a shorthand miracle or just by like clutching it, you know, something like that is
When I feel you deserve it.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, so I think that pretty covers well time. It's very difficult to kind of nail this down. So I appreciate you guys trying. I know I'm kind of just throwing these at you, and I very loosely prepare you for what's going on here. Just as a disclaimer, I do not tell my guests what the questions are. I give them the general topics. So
Well, this is fighting games. We have to react.
you got to react, yeah. Got to react to those. Got to react to that grab startup.
Yeah, I react. I
Just
react
let you
to.
know, Desert Pro can react to throws.
Hey,
out there.
this is no BS. Shoutouts to Dacid.
Why
Okay.
did SKB learn to react to Tao's grab? Why?
All right. So our next topic is my favorite, attitude. We're gonna be talking about attitude. We are probably going to revisit this when we go to episode 6 or 7, which we'll probably be discussing metagame and adaptation, things like that. But for now, we're going to do a general overview of attitude. So what do you guys think about what should your attitude be towards other players? And go ahead and throw out any situation you want, but like attitude is a big deal, and some people say we shouldn't teach attitude. I think you got to learn from somewhere, and you got to get ideas. So go ahead, guys. So tell me about your attitude towards other players.
All right, I'll go
Okay.
first actually, because someone in the chat actually posted the exact opposite of what I was going to say.
Oh boy.
Always respect them, be they stronger or weaker. No, I don't respect anyone. Everyone out there is bad. Someone I should be
Man,
beating.
shut up.
Whoa.
Christ.
I
Whoa,
think
you play Chawakaka. Your opinion is invalidated.
I think how you define respect is a bit of an issue. Do
Do you mind if I just
Yes.
finish?
Yeah.
I think that I think respect is kind of a way to allow yourself to fear people. I think as a player you should be seeing everyone else as nothing more than another person that is on the other side of you hitting buttons. If you're fighting LK, he's just some guy in some polo that he wears to every tournament. And I guess how you view other players should just be as people that you should be beating.
Okay, so basically to summarize what you said, respect is kind of fear, and your real attitude you should have towards other players is that they are mortal. They are just like you. They may have more or less experience, but at the end of the day, they are a player that is pushing buttons on the other side.
Yes.
Okay, Dreiko, how about you go?
I think there's two different kinds of respect and two different kinds of interaction that we're talking about, and I'm not exactly sure if the respect that was mentioned was the one in the actual game. I think the respect they meant was after or before the match, how you interact with the person, not how you actually play the game. I think it's good to be respectful towards your opponent, but during the actual fight, of course, it's not that good to be fearful and defensive and respectful in that sense. So I think if you're playing somebody who's better than you, you still have to put your foot down and show that you're not afraid of him. But you can still be nice towards the person outside of the game. Now, if you're fighting a newer player, I believe the attitude towards them should be mentoring in some sort. You shouldn't be like, oh, scrub, you suck, go die, and stuff like that. I think that's harmful towards the development of the scene. I personally enjoy helping new players. I enjoy teaching them, and I enjoy it the most when they actually try to beat me, because that pushes me to become even better, because now I have even better competition on. As for respecting people in your own skill level, let's say, it's good to talk shit, it's good to be annoying on purpose just for fun, and that's also a way to push your opponent to be better than you and to push yourself through them. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, KF?
Well,
Don't ban me.
alright. Well, I'm going to say first off that, like, my definition of respect is, like, kind of like what the other two said about, like, fearing the opponent, but, like, not so much as fear, but rather, like, not knowing what they do, or I guess that's the most concrete way I can put it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like the actual definition of respect. That's how I'm going to, like, put my perspective on respect. So, like, of course, when you meet people in real life, then you obviously respect them, treat them as if treat them how they want to treat you, blah, blah, blah. But, like, in match, really depends on, like, what kind of character you play. Like, some characters don't have to respect anyone at all, like Chamataka and, like, some other person I know. But, like, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't respect anyone. Like, there are definitely some matchups in BlazBlue where you definitely have to respect the other character's options. Like, for example, Ragnar versus Hakumen. Like, Hakumen has the options of D, his drives, where he's able to counter any attack within a certain amount of frames. So Ragnar has to, like, respect that, or not entirely respect it, but, like, respect it to some degree. Like, it really comes down to, like, how well the Hakumen can guess, and, like, I guess the drives are a bad example, but, like, Hakumen's mix-up, or not mix-up, pressure, is a good example of respect. Like, you can't just Inferno Divider to his pressure, like, whenever you want. You have to expect, or you have to, like, know which places to do it, and, like, when to actually, like, respect his pressure. Like, you can't just Inferno Divider through his 2As, because the 2As are entirely safe. So, like, knowing like, when to respect and, like, what kind of character that deserves respect is kind of essential when you want to play at a higher level. I'm not sure if that answers the question entirely, but
To basically summarize what you're saying, the in-game respect really comes down to the knowledge and understanding that you need in order to beat somebody.
Yeah, more or less.
Oh, okay.
It's about the character
so I
and
guess-
the person.
So I guess we brought up, like, 3 types of respect. There's, like, basic human social interaction respect.
Yes.
There's player versus player respect, and then there's character versus character respect. And I guess you have to understand the difference between all 3, because they are very different.
You need to balance all 3 together.
I think if you want to be a healthy gamer and also importantly a successful gamer, these 3 things are definitely something you have to think about, develop, and work on. I mean, your attitude towards other players might be absolutely terrible because, I mean, you're going to be like, oh, this guy is a scrub, he's friggin' mashed me out, and, you know, that may not be true, and even if it is true, that's still a result of him pushing some kind of button that beats your button because you failed to do something. So
That's worse on you than the other player because he was mashing, but you lost to mashing. What does that say about you as a player?
yeah, this actually comes into our next topic. Our next attitude topic is what players' attitude should be towards themselves, towards themselves and their own game. I think we'll do this in order. Dreiko, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. I think for yourself, you need to be harsh. You need to be 10 times as harsh as you are towards other players. You need to keep pushing yourself. You should never be satisfied entirely. You should be like, okay, this one was good. Let's make the other 10 just as good. And if you make those other 10 just as good, you can have beer and be like, okay, enough BlazBlue for the day. You need to be always pushing for more and better and higher levels of performance and improvement.
Okay. Mash?
Sorry, what was the question again?
What should players' attitudes be towards themselves and their own game?
If I didn't win, it's not good enough.
Whoa.
No, I'm just kidding. I guess going back to what we were talking about goals earlier. Did I take? I guess I'm gonna go a little. I'm gonna get very personal here. When I set those goals that I was mentioning earlier for myself, whenever I finish playing, I think to myself, did I accomplish the goals that I set to learn over the course of me playing? And if I did to some extent, then I feel that I will be happy with myself. And if not, then I feel like I should be working harder. So I guess I am bringing it back to the time discussion.
I mean, like your attitude would be, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, it's pretty much, did I waste my time? If I wasted my time, then why did I just do this? And then I should always be playing. My attitude for myself is I should be always playing with a purpose. I shouldn't be just going in and trying to press random buttons and think that I'll do well, even if I play Tau.
Okay, KF, how about you?
Like John's first remark about if you're not winning, then I'm not sure. I don't think. I honestly don't think of it at that level, but I personally think that you should tell yourself to either win or to improve. That's honestly what it comes down to. If you don't tell yourself to do either of those two, then you probably won't get anything out of experience. For example, suppose in a tournament match that you fall out of the bracket first round, but if you tell yourself, oh, it's just he's using a scrubby character, I just don't like that scrubby character at all, and that character's dumb, that person's dumb, then you won't get anywhere for thinking that kind of mindset. But if you tell yourself, oh, that character has some tricks that I don't know about, I should probably learn those tricks. I should probably spend some time, again with the time discussion, in training mode, figure out what I'm doing wrong and what I can do to get past those tricks. So really depends on what mindset you have, and what I suggest is a mindset that tells yourself to improve or win. If you're already good enough to win, for example. Yeah.
Okay,
I want to touch upon that for a little bit. It's never the other player that's doing something scrubby or stupid or the character. It's always you that are unable to defeat that scrubby, stupid thing. So instead of aiming that anger toward the other player, aim it internally and use it to make yourself try harder and practice more. That's the way you will actually improve. If you say the other person is just stupid or he plays all day and has no life or something similar, yes, you will feel better at that specific moment, but you will not improve at all. And that's what a lot of people do, and they stay in that level, and they justify the defeat by saying something negative about their opponent instead of saying, okay, I suck, I need to do something to fix it.
Okay. So, out of that, basically, your ability to manage your own attitude is closely related to how you manage your attitude towards other players. You guys would be so proud of me. I have a visual aid tonight. I'll read it off for people who are got audio only, but I've thought about this a lot. I obviously have a big problem with it, but then I read this. Picture a Bruce Lee. If you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus. You must not stay there. You must go beyond them. And that summarizes it very well. Your attitude towards your game should be focused on pushing your limits and improving, and you should be harsh on yourself, but in the way that you want to improve. So I really like that Bruce Lee picture. Any thoughts on the Bruce Lee picture, or
I can't
before we
see the
move on?
picture, but I'll see it later.
Oh, okay. Well, I read it off, but okay. So let's see.
I actually want to kind of extend on the remark of how you should be harsh on yourself, like what Start even said. You should be harsh on yourself, but in a way that improves yourself. Like, for example, you don't want to be harsh in that. Oh, I don't want to. Actually, really bad at this game. I don't really want to play this game anymore. Like, if you beat yourself down after losing, then that's not a very good attitude either, because you won't get anywhere either. You just stop playing the game, and then you won't get anywhere after that. Like, if you're honest, it's fine if you really don't want to get serious with the game, but if you want to win, you can't beat yourself down like that. You have to tell yourself, I don't want to lose anymore. I have to get better.
Okay. Sorry, I was drinking my coffee. So, you'll notice a lot of topics I have are very closely related to within the subtopics. But our next one was going to be our attitude towards the game itself. So, basically, I brought this one in because a lot of people can work on their game, and they play with others, they practice, and so on and so forth. And the thing I don't want to see happen is when people develop a bad attitude towards the game because of some sort of roadblock they hit, or some sort of hardship, or some sort of failing on their part because of other things. So, what do you guys think about how players should manage their attitude towards the game as they try to develop?
The game should always be fun.
That's a very good one.
That's about all I can say. If the game, no matter what game you play, if it's not fun, then stop playing.
It's not for you.
Yeah, it's just video games.
Yeah, I think it's about yourself in the end. If this thing doesn't work for you, do something else. If you like the game and you're just bad at it, suck it up and improve. It's not the game being stupid, it's you not being good enough. That's all. That's all.
Well, some people take that really hard. I mean,
that's understandable, but that's the truth of the matter, and even though it feels bad, you can't really change it all that much. They need to accept that truth and either endure it and push on, or just play something else. If it's too destructive to their mentality and it causes them to be super angry or super depressed or something like that.
Okay, so what would you guys say to someone who, they play BlazBlue, and they get bopped, and shit game? Is there any kind of recovering that person, kind of fixing their attitude, or do you think they just kind of have to go out for that long walk, and maybe they'll come back, maybe not?
I would try to.
Why? Go ahead, actually.
Okay. I would try to simply explain all the things that anger them. I would ask them why do they dislike the game, and I would show them, okay, this is like this actually. You're not entirely correct about your perception of this aspect of the game. If after the explanation they still dislike the game, then I will just say, okay, it's not your cup of tea, that's fine, we should play something else.
Okay, KayEff?
That's pretty much what I was aiming at. Like, oh man, I forgot what I was about to say. Basically ask them why they think that, and like, just basically handle the argument how you would handle any other argument. Like, try to see why the guy thinks like that, and then provide why you think that's, or why you think that shouldn't be the case. You know, it's just basically a simple argument that needs to be had, pretty much.
Mr. Mash That 5A.
Just call me John, please.
Okay. I'm having trouble. I'm kind of going back and forth because I'm not sure. But okay, John.
Just call me John, please.
All right.
I mean, there are two different types of mad. You're mad because you lost, or you're mad because you don't find the game fun. It's kind of one of those. I can't think of the really sophisticated words. I'm going to say you have to look deep inside of yourself and use the cliche to figure out. Why it does require a bit of that walk to figure out why you're angry and why you don't think you're enjoying the game. I mean, for example, whenever I play Marvel, I get really mad, and it's because I don't enjoy the game. But whenever I play BlazBlue and I get bopped, I get really mad, but it's because I want to get better, and I don't like losing. So, and I think people are actually very good at differentiating that kind of stuff with themselves. But I think the problem is that they don't know how to respond to it.
What do you think they should do? Just off the cuff. Like, what should they do or try to do first? Like, I'm mad. Like this. Like, goddamn, I'm salty. First thing?
That depends on how you deal with anger, and it's on an individual basis.
I was about to say it's a person-to-person basis.
Okay, so they have to get personal and reflective.
Yeah, some people need a break. Some people don't want to play the game for a bit. They just want to sit down and relax and think about the match. And some people say, "Hey, money match me," and they want to run it back.
Exactly.
Throw a stick. This actually leads into actually, KayEff, did you have anything for that, or can I go to the next thing?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Speaking of breaks, this sounds like a time question, but I'm asking the attitude version of this question. When do you need a break? And I'm going to ninja this one in when you get banned from Dustloop.
And before I get banned from Dustloop.
Go ahead, guys. When do you need a break?
When you're constantly disappointed with yourself, when you're not having any fun at all for session after session after session, you should just take a break for a week or something and go at it with a fresh head.
Okay, John?
That's actually when I took a break. It's basically when you feel like you're having more negative attitudes with the game than you are having positive attitudes. Because once you start having more negative than positive, it only gets worse. And at that point, you should just try to relax. No fun allowed. No spirit juice.
No spirit juice. Okay, KayEff, when should you take a break?
For me, it pretty much went down to like to the point where like anything I do, I can't really feel like I can improve any more than I have with the current circumstances. Like I feel like with the current scene that I have and like with the net play that is right now, like because I'm like almost constantly winning, like I don't feel like I'm learning that much anymore. I don't think I'm learning anything at all, really. So like, maybe it's because of like how I don't want to say how the game works per se, because I know that there's quite a bit of versatility within the game, but it's probably because like, I've pretty much figured out how to win against both people. So like, there's not really much motivation for me to keep going. So I just kind of took a break from there and then started playing PSO2.
KayEff is the real PNW secret boss.
What was that?
KayEff is the real PNW secret boss.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm there at most of the meets.
Yeah. What I think when you need a break is when, and in fact I agree a lot with Dreiko, is when you are almost consistently disappointed in yourself, but you can't convert that into action. You can't convert that into, okay, let me go back and drill this, or let me go back and try to learn more about this. So that's when you need a break, is when you experience literally more bad emotion than good emotion about the game. The game should make you excited, should make you want to push your limits, or when you're not getting that, you're gonna self-destruct, and I'm very familiar with that. So basically, what I do when I need a break, I play other games. I chill out and I do something else, and I resolve that I only want to play the game when I want to play the game. So when I really want to play BlazBlue, I play BlazBlue, and that's actually really turned a lot of things around for me so far in the last few months.
It's not a job, it's a game, so you don't have this obligation to practice every day. You do it for fun. That's how it's supposed to be, even if you're competitive. In the end, competing is fun.
Not if you're esports.
Not if you're in the Marvel scene.
Ooh.
I don't play Marvel, so I do not know about that. I'm sorry.
We'll talk about getting competitive one of these episodes. I'm not sure which. I kind of want to cover fundamentals first, but congratulations, gentlemen. We have made it through tonight's 2 primary topics, and I think what we'll do for the last 15, it's 9:51, but we'll see how long we can go. We're going to start answering questions now. So, stream chat, I can see you tonight. I don't need turbo, so go ahead if you have questions. We'll let you guys pick out questions too that you want to answer, but go ahead and let us have them. And while we are on that, let's see, something quick we can talk about.
By the way, you didn't particularly say anything about not saying anything bad about Marvel, right? We can shit on Marvel half.
Here's the official policy. This is a show that's all positive, so I would prefer if you guys would leave other games alone.
Okay.
I play with
fine
Kodak.
about
I'm
that.
not allowed to hate Marvel.
No. My number one thing in trying to get BlazBlue to gain more respect, to get our scene to have more respect, to have our players get more respect, is I have stopped altogether dumping on games. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how bad or good it is. I try to appreciate everyone's game and how they want to play it, because that's how I develop the respect to get my game to be allowed in the venue. And that's how I get people to join my game when I get to sit down in my venue with my console, because otherwise there's going to be 3-4 Smash setups, and there's only 3-4 setups. I want a setup, so
Yeah.
I have to.
I think it's good to not antagonize people.
Yeah, so I try to represent well, and that's what I want to do with this show. The show's pretty much all positive, so I would prefer if you guys and all guests of the show try to curb the hate or the jokes.
Sure.
Okay.
Even though I do think they are funny.
You guys think BBCP is going to make the franchise blow back up in America?
I hope so.
That's one of the questions. Yeah.
Okay, so let's now we've given our stream monsters time for questions. I'll read the first one. How much time did it take you guys to learn your first character in BB?
Okay, that you would need to clarify learn.
Yeah, what's learn mean?
Learn varies upon levels of mastery. Do you mean comprehending how to use the moves, or how to win consistently, or how to play at near tournament level? All those things take different amounts of time.
Oh, okay, hang on, he clarified. Okay, I'll start this off. Do you think you can
Tournament
consider yourself
level.
tournament level? Well, it depends what you mean by tournament level, because to be quite honest, anyone can go to a tournament and enter and play.
My first tournament was Calamity Trigger, and at an anime convention, and that was when I played CT Lychee, and I beat 3 people, and I sent 3 other people running away, and all my opponents won. And all my opponents won by default because they were afraid of me, and that pissed me off because I had the fight. So but that is anime tournament level? No, next level is tournament level, so.
Yeah, I think majors are tournament level, quote unquote.
I'm gonna take that as how long does it take for you to understand how a character works? I think it gets progressively shorter the more you play, the more characters you learn. But my first character, how long it took I feel like I'm biased because my first character was CS1 Ragna, so it took like that took about 2-3 weeks.
My first character was CT Bang, and that took months because I was completely new at 2D anime fighting games, so it was all new to me. Everything.
Oh, I just remember. No, my first character was MK2 Liu Kang, and for me to really understand how playing as him worked, I was like 7, but I would say it took about 3 months.
When I was 7, I played Tekken, not 2D stuff, but for 2D stuff, it was CT basically.
KayEff.
I'm going to change the question a bit to assume that you're talking about first character in BB and not in any other game. Because
Yeah.
if you want like my first character in like any game, it would have been Blanca because I like mashing on electricity. But
Yeah,
not that.
exactly.
But I don't know. Like I actually think that I got around to knowing how to use the character in around CS2. Like around CT, like I was trying to learn how the character worked and all that, learning combos, learning how the game worked. CS1, I didn't really learn much because Ragnar was hella autopilot. So I actually did not learn anything during CS1. Like I was literally just doing combos that I saw on combo videos. That was it. CS2 was where Ragnar went like low tier, so I actually forced myself to learn everything that I need to know in order to play this character well. So around that time was when I personally believe I became familiar with the character. And then past that point, I actually played the character at a different level. So yeah, around CS2 was when I became familiar with Ragnar.
Okay. For
Ooh,
myself.
there's actually a question I really like in the chat. Do you mind if I answer that?
Well, let me get my turn.
Okay.
So, CT Lychee, I played from like November 2010 to like a year, and that's when I got my console. So, like, I don't think I got enough time to learn the character real well. I was just beginning, and then I played CS2 Lychee, and I only had like a few months on that, and then I started Extend. So it's been over a year in Extend, and if we're talking about like the basics of your character, I take a really personally long view of my character. Like the learning in fighting games is very, very far off in the future. It's deep. So, and then this fact I play Lychee, who's not a very she's not Ragna, she's not Jin, she's not Ryu. So, I think it takes quite a while to learn the basics of your character based on what kind of character and your playstyle. So I don't know, but I would say if you're familiar with fighting games, maybe 2-3 months. But with other ones, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years. It's hard for me to say.
Okay, so I really want to answer the when learning a completely new character question because I actually just recently went through this.
Oh, you go ahead.
All right. So, as some of you, if you came in earlier, know, I have dropped Ragna at this point to learn how to play Tao, and she plays so differently from Ragna. She has real neutral.
That's true.
But I guess part of the thing you have to learn. Bad habits is really a weird way to put it. You tend to abuse strengths that your old character had that you kind of subconsciously forgot about. For example, Ragna's hitboxes. Tao, as much as everyone likes to complain about Tao, she really does not have any super disjointed hitboxes. And one, you have to learn how to deal with the hitboxes of everyone else in the cast. And two, you have to learn to deal with basically completely relearning neutral. And I guess so long as you have a good attitude about it, like we were discussing earlier in the show, and understand how to manage your time well, which is actually much easier once you've learned the first character, then I think everything just kind of sets into place. I consider myself pretty competent with Tao now, and I'm probably on like week 2. So, Especially, a nice thing is that once you learn a second character, you don't have to deal with understanding the system anymore. You'll have matchup experience against that character, so you have some basic idea of how the character works. So the only thing you really have to learn is tools and the situations in which they're very strong, and that's much easier once you've done it once before.
Yeah, I think this question applies to me in some degree because except for Arakune, I can use pretty much every character in the game. So I have taken through CT till Extend to basically familiarize myself with every character. Some of them took a bit longer than others, but as it went along, the later ones, it was quicker to adjust to than the older ones. So in CT I just used Bang and Rachel. In CS1, I added to the mix Taeger, Zen, Hakumen, and Valkenhayn and Makoto, especially Valkenhayn. So Valkenhayn currently still is my sub, and I love using him, and he's just enjoyable. In near Extend, I actually picked up Carl because I liked his music with Relius. And he was actually not that hard to learn by that point because I just understood the game so well that I just adjusted to him seamlessly so. As for who was the hardest, I see like the extension of the question. I would say between Valkenhayn and Relius. Relius mainly because I did not use him that much and I have not gone to similar depths with him compared to somebody else. But on average, I would say Platinum was the quickest one to adjust to because it is very similar to Bang, believe it or not. It is rushdowns, it has good mix-ups, it has the command grabs, it has fancy items, all those things. It feels very common to the thought process of using Bang. So I would say 2 to 3 weeks to get a basic understanding and you move on.
Okay, it is 10 o'clock. I think we'll probably do one more if that's okay with you guys, and then we'll call it a night. So, Kay, if you want to chime in on this one, and then we'll get our last question.
I can't really chime in because I kind of stuck with Ragna for all of BB. I've learned other characters, but not to the point where I can actually play competitively or well at all. So yeah, I'm going to stay out of this one.
Oh, well, okay. So that leaves me, and is it hard to learn a new character? No. Once you get to a sufficient level with your main, I think you go back to your sub and you gain both a lot of perspective and you get to learn a whole another section of skills, and that's actually really good for you. And this is why it's good to play other games, and this is why it's good to play at least one other character sometimes, especially if you hit a roadblock with your main. So it does get easier. And it does help your own game on your main, especially if you need help with kind of what to do in matchups, or you're not sure how to use your tools, or you're not able to key in on weaknesses that you should be seeing in other characters. Okay. So, gentlemen, if the last question... Stream monsters, don't let me down. well,
I love Canada. They're all amazing.
Okay, let's see. If I don't see any other questions, so I think my final question will be name one thing that you've had a really hard time dealing with as you developed as a player. And I think we'll leave with that.
Pro tip, that's not a question.
That's not a question.
I'll tackle it anyways. Okay.
Nuts.
The hardest thing was learning how to actually use Furin Kazan and not kill myself in the process. That took me till CS2 to actually learn properly. I was trying to do it in CD all through CS2, and I was failing, but eventually I understood how to control the dash canceling and everything. So CS2 was where it all clicked. Yeah, that was my hurdle.
Okay, John?
Come back to me. I'm still thinking.
Okay, KayEff?
For me, it was pretty much like the hardest thing was pretty much getting around Ragna's limitations. Like Ragna is purely one of the simplest characters in the game. He has like simple moves, really simple game plan, like and like really just pretty simple character to begin with. But because of that, his game plan is like very linear and minute. So like, yeah.
Yeah,
All that,
I guess I'm
all
gonna
that
say the
sweet
same
stuff.
thing.
But like,
How do you? Yeah.
but like, I forgot what I was going to. Oh yeah, like trying to get past Ragnar's limitations, it's a lot harder than like how I thought it would be, because Ragnar doesn't have that many options. He even has less in CP, so you have to like think outside the box. And when a game like this, considering a game like this, and with considering a character like this, it's not very easy because there's not a whole lot you can do. Like the moves were created for mostly a single purpose, so you have to like not only experiment but like think think as not think not as a like take a different mindset. Don't think as playing or don't think as like a Ragnar player. Try to think of like oh, if I were this kind of player, how would I use this move? Like that's how I took the 3C Oki from like it was originally from like Kenso. It was originally Kenso's idea, but actually tried extending off of that and actually proved to be really useful. So like yeah, I didn't think as a Ragnar player when I like extended off of that 3C Oki. Like I had to think yeah, again, think outside the box for that kind of thing.
So,
Like,
if I'm understanding you right, basically, you're describing that you had trouble with adapting.
not adapting, rather being different from the norm because, well, normal Ragnars have trouble like winning against the higher tier characters. Like that much can be set in stone because like if you watch like any Japanese player, they play to the book, like purely. They do everything that's like been posted on tutorials and whatnot, but they don't win a lot.
I think what he's saying. I think what he is trying to say is Ragnar is so overused that everybody has seen everything the character is capable of doing, so they know what to do against it. And breaking out of that pattern and being unique and doing something that nobody actually knows how to deal with, that's the challenge with the character.
That wasn't what I was saying before, but that is actually really true. That's actually
okay.
one of the points I should have covered.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hardest point as a Ragnar player. What happens when people know how to block 23 frame overheads?
It's not as good as you think.
Yeah. As much as everyone likes to complain about Ragnar, both Patrick and I play offline a lot, so we don't have the net play buffer of 6B being unblockable. And so it suddenly gets a lot harder for us to win because you have people that can actually block these things like Spark or SKD, and suddenly you have to actually think. And thinking, I guess, actually, the hardest thing for me to learn was how to break out of autopilot and think, because fighting games require you to think really, really quickly, and you have to be able to comprehend a situation really, really quickly. And it's a skill that part of it is part of it you have to be born with, but it's something you have to be able to train, and training it is really hard. When I actually wanted to get better at fighting games, I took a bunch of brain teasers and tried to solve them as fast as possible, so I can work on thinking faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all that, I think that's enough for tonight. With one exception, I'm gonna ask. I'll ask you outside the chat here. But I'd like to thank you for attending. I know this was kind of a very difficult, very abstract session today. We didn't really talk about anything directly about the game. I can see you guys have a lot that you want to say about the game. But these topics that I'm kind of dealing with now are a little bit difficult because they're more abstract and they're more personal. So it's hard to kind of give general advice. But I do appreciate you guys coming in. I'd like to thank all of our listeners as well. If you like this podcast and you want to see it improve, go ahead and post in the Dust Loop thread or add me on Twitter at StarPlaysGames. You can see it right there, or add any of my esteemed guests. And before we leave, I think you guys give me one. We're going to be talking about fundamentals next time. So if anyone has anything that they think I should key in on, please let me know. PM me, whatever. And yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you all very much again. And
Also,
good
it'd be great if you gave feedback on people that came on as guests, if you have any, because we would like to. We would honestly, I personally would like to see this show become as good as it possibly can be, and that means having good speakers and good guests. So
Any
having
advice is welcome, yes.
Yes, I know Dacid Bro is a hard act to follow, but as you can see, we are all mortal, and but this is a place where people can discuss things and not be put on blast. So if you guys have anything to say about the guests or me, try not to put us on blast. Be constructive as possible and try to be nice, and we'll do what we can to improve. Okay?
Don't be Triforce.
And
Don't
be
what you're
Triforce.
talking about.
evaluate your self-worth with video games.
Okay. Anyways, thank you all again, and good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.